For this video, I thought it would be really interesting to showcase the row-level security implementation using Dataverse plugins. In certain Dataverse implementations, it is often required to implement row-level security profiles for certain entities. And on top of that, these requirements are sometimes very specific and highly unique. For example, a user may need access to an account record only if particular property within that account matches a specific value. So throughout this video, I will show you how you can implement such sophisticated access control rules using Dataverse plugins in your model-driven apps. Before we jump into the code, a little disclaimer. This code that I wrote is not intended to be used in organizations, and it's more of a showcase how you can use Dataverse plugins in order to create security roles. If you have any questions, how to create more scalable solutions, please leave a question in a comment section below. And now we can jump into Visual Studio. So as you can already see, I am in my code editor and I have already created a public class for my account assembly, which is called account RetrieveMultiple post-operation sync, which means that we will be triggering our plugin logic whenever RetrieveMultiple message will happen on Dataverse side. Now, if you're interested how I like to structure my plugins and assemblies, you can click a link somewhere here around me. And if you already saw that video, we can jump straight into writing our plugin logic. So as per usual, I will implement my iPlugin interface and will follow through with suggestions. And for my execute method, I will paste in some context references. So in here, I will have my context object, service object, and also I will create initiating user entity, which will contain all the information about the user who executes the request. So let's now assume that if our initiating user's full name is matching with my name, because I'm the only user in my organization, then we want to filter out certain subset of account records from our RetrieveMultiple output. To achieve this, I will first of all implement an if statement in which I will check if my user's full name is equal to my name. And then in my if statement, I will create an entity collection which will contain the output entities from the request. So since I have my collection of output entities, I will now create an additional collection in which I will push the records that meet certain criteria. Now we want to loop through our output collection entities and check which one of those are catching up with our criteria. To do so, I will create for each statement for our collection entities and will loop through each and every one of those. Now our output collection entities will not come up with all the attributes of the account, hence we need to retrieve certain values for that account entity. So I will create a simple retrieve entity statement in which I will get the property of DIS account team for my current item in the loop. So since we have already our full account record, or maybe account record with certain properties in place, I can now check if that account record contains the property value of our interest. So I'll just do that. So additional if statement in which we are checking if our property, which is called DAS account team, which is option set value, contains a value of this. And if so, we want to add that account entity into our new collection. Once we've done looping through our original collection and creating a new collection, we want to add the items from the new collection into our output collection. To do so, what you want to do is first of all clean original collection and then add range of new items into that collection. So here we have our original collection and we're saying entities clear, which cleans all the entities in it. And then we're saying again collection entities add range, and then we're adding the range of entities from our new collection. And that's basically it. What you now need to do is to save it, build it, and publish it into your environment. So here I am in my model-driven app environment, and you can already see that I have 3 accounts, all of them in different teams, and only one is in team A, which is represented by the option set value that we did in the code. Now my plugin is currently disabled, but now I will enable it in the background. And you might hear it from the sound that it's already enabled. And if I will now refresh the page, see what happens. We can already see only one account, which is represented by Team A. But this solution contains some problems, and you might already see them, because in the bottom, I can still see that there are 3 rows, which is not correct, because it's implying that there are 3 records and I can see only 1. And also, if I would open my record, and instead of this account ID, I would put different one, you will see that I still can access account team C record, which is in different team. And that is because we just registered our plugin on RetrieveMultiple step, but we also need to do it on just simple retrieve, which retrieves only 1 record. So let's go back into the code and fix these issues. So let's first address the row count issue. And it's really simple solution for it. To do so, I will reference my collection count, total record count, and I will say that it needs to be equal to new collection entities count. Now, to address other problem with single retrieve, we will need to create a new plugin in which we will manage our single retrieve logic. So let's just do that. I will press right click on account, say add new item, and in here we will see account, retrieve, since it's just retrieve, not multiple, post, operation, synchronous, and add. So again, we will change the class into public. We will implement our iPlugin interface with execute method. We will delete some nonsense from GitHub Copilot. And in here, we will add our usual suspects. Now, as previously, we're adding our service, context, and initial user parameters. And also we're checking if our initiating user full name is my name. Now, the main difference is that we are retrieving not entity collection from the output, but just one single entity, since it's single retrieve. But before we start implementing our if statement, we need to take care of one important thing. And that thing is actually in our multiple retrieve plugin. So if I would open my plugin, we will see that in here, we are already making service retrieve for account, which is not good because we are invoking that plugin unintentionally, and we need to create a safeguard for it. So to implement this safeguard, we will jump back into our previous plugin, and in here we will try to figure out what other plugin might have been invoking this one. And to do so, we will leverage transactions, which is the topic that I will cover in my next video. But for now, we will just check if our context contains parent context. And if so, we will check if that parent context has the attribute of owning extension. And then we will check if that attribute name contains the name of our parent plugin. And if so, we will just return from the execution. Otherwise, we will follow through with the logic. So once our safeguards are implemented, we can implement our logic in if statement, and it will be just a little bit less complex than in our case with multiple retrieve, because in this case, we will just retrieve one entity, which is business entity, instead of business entity collection. And we will check if our entity's attribute named DIS account team is not equal to a certain value. And if it's not equal, we will want to show an error message saying that you can't access this record. So I will throw in valid plugin execution exception saying that you're not allowed to see this record. And that's it. Now you can build the plugin and deploy it into our Dataverse. And so here I am back in my environment with the plugin already deployed. And as you can see, I have 3 entity records. But if I will now refresh the page, you will see that only one is visible. And as well, we have only one row calculated, which is correct. Now let's try to actually open this record. And instead of this ID, let's put the one from another entity record and click enter. And now you can see that instead of showing the record, we're getting the business process error message saying that you're not allowed to view this record. And this was everything that I wanted to show you this time. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, maybe leave a comment below, and I really hope to see you next time.